scandal, but.
Okay. We're in session in two cases, cause number 321-044, cause number 329-068, excuse me, 064. Both cases, style of state of Texas versus Justin Nicholas Cruz Turner. Mr. Cruz Turner, your case is being reset. How much time do we need on the reset?
Just a standard reset. We've spoken with Mr. Cruz Turner and he's agreed to pay the balance in that time. And so we'll be able to reevaluate where we are.
Okay.
After reset.
So we're gonna give us a reset date. He said a stamp. How much time do you need? 30 days, 6 days? What?
30 days this month.
30?
So 12/3.
12/3, which is November 3rd,
Friday.
excuse me, December 3rd of 2021. You're gonna stand over there on the far X. She's gonna reset your case. Once you get your reset, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. All right, thanks for being patient with us. He's gonna pay the balance.
I do not.
Yes, Judge.
We're in session in cause number 330-101. Case is styled the state of Texas versus Jason Alexander Warden. Mr. Warden, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Warden, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Warden, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Warden, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Warden?
Doing all right.
That's fine. Now, Mr. Warden, I think initially you was represented by Dustin Galmore.
Yes, sir.
And obviously Dustin Galmore is not here today. However, standing in for Mr. Galmore is Mr. Charles McIntosh. Does Mr. McIntosh have your permission to stand in for Mr. Gamble?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Mr. McIntosh, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Judge. Thank you.
And Mr. McIntosh, do you waive a record in Mr. Warden's case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Warden, I have before me a document that is titled Information. In this document, it alleges that on or about April 18th of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Warden, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to this charge, Mr. Warden, how do you plead guilty? Not guilty, no contest.
Guilty.
Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Warden, I have before me a document that is titled the misdemeanor plea admonishment, is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir, the one I signed?
Yes.
Yes.
And on page 2 of the same document, there are a set of initials on a line next to a box that's checked guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on the next page of the same document, Mr. Warden, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on the next document, which is the trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, there is a, okay. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Mr. McIntosh, do you have a discovery certification?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Warden, I have before me a document that is titled discovery certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Warden, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes. Yes.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, now when I mentioned that your attorney went over it, did Mr. McIntosh go over these documents with you?
Dustin and Mr.
Okay, both of them, good. Now, Mr. Now, State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. You like to offer State's 1?
Yes, Your Honor. No objections.
Okay. No objection, State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Now, Mr. McIntosh, you've advised and counseled Mr. Ward. Is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Ward, your attorney, Mr. Dustin Galmore, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. McIntosh has also advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his services?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Mr. Warden, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor. It's 365 days county jail, probated over 2 years. It's a $1,000 fine, 80 hours community service, DWI education course, drug and alcohol assessment, and ignition interlock.
Okay. Now, Mr. Ward, the state is offering that you serve 365 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, You would not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail on this case because you'll be placed on probation for 2 years. During the 2-year probationary period, you will be required to pay a fine of $1,000 plus $422 of court costs, which comes to a total of fine and court costs of $1,422. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. And you will be required to pay the Jefferson County DWI Education Class and Initial Evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, the total amount that you would have to pay in monthly installments, that is the total amount that you would have to pay each month while you're on probation, is $140. Will you be able to pay the $140 each month?
Yes, Your Honor.
You'll also be required to perform 80 hours of community service. You will be required to attend and complete a DWI education class, and you will be required to have a drug and alcohol assessment. You will be required to install an interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate, and you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Mr. Warden, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Warden, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Warden, you're gonna stand on the X next to your attorney, Mr. McIntosh. It's on the right. No, right there. And once you finish following those that, okay, you're gonna follow the directions of our clerk. And once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. All right. We're in session in cause number 328-832. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Warren Kenneth Johnson. Warren Johnson was scheduled to be in court this morning for the court's announcement docket at 9 a.m. on today's date of December 15 of 2021. At or about 9 a.m., the bailiff called the name of Warren Johnson at the courthouse door and Warren Johnson did not answer. Warren Johnson has not appeared in court since the court has been in session. The time now is 11:21 a.m. on today's date. Mr. Bailiff, would you please call the name of Warren Johnson? Warren Johnson's name was just called again by the court's bailiff at the courthouse door. Warren Johnson did not answer. A reasonable time has passed to give Mr. Johnson an opportunity to appear in court. He has not appeared in court. State, do you have a motion?
Yes, Your Honor, the state will move for bond forfeiture.
A motion will be granted. Warrant shall be issued for the rest of Warren Johnson, and his bond shall be forfeited in clause number 328832. And this will conclude the calling of vote, the motion to revoke probation docket, the announcement docket, both of which was scheduled for 9 a.m. on today's date of October 15th of 2021 in County Court at Law number 2, Jefferson County, Texas. Judge Terrence Holmes presiding. Everyone, please have a blessed